So spring is right around the corner and I have this mess to deal with. I have an idea of how we can organize this and make it a more functional area. So let's take a look. So I built this to help us be a little bit more organized with our garden and chicken stuff that we have built up in the corner. And from what it looks like, it's gonna do a pretty good job. So let's take a closer look in detail on how this was built. Like many of my other projects, I threw this in SketchUp and built it from scratch. I based it off of the 27-gallon totes that we purchased from Costco, but can be purchased in several different places as well, including Amazon. What I'm looking for is a place to store totes, but also a place where we can have a functional workplace. So this workbench is going to meet our needs. So I start off by cutting out each individual board. SketchUp is great on this because it can give me a cut list and give me the quantity of enough boards that I need for the project. So I'm going to go ahead and measure each board, cut them out, and for those multiple cuts, I'm going to set up a fence and get them cut pretty quick. For the boards holding the actual totes in place, I'm going to be using 2x2s. Instead of buying the 2x2s, I'm just going to buy additional 2x4s and rip them in half. I don't have a good dust collection in my shop, so I tend to rip my boards outside, but as you can see, the weather's not cooperating today, so I am opting to just open the shop door, make the cuts, and get them done. With these longer boards, I would like to have a secondary workbench that catches the boards so they don't flip over, but for today, my wife is going to be helping me out with these boards. And I am grateful for her. Once all the boards are cut to length, we start the build. First off, the bracer boards that go between the two main pieces of the bench, these are going to have pocket holes. So this is going to be the bottom of the base, and it's going to mimic what the top of the table is as well. Pocket holes aren't really the strongest when it comes to a build like this, but the weight of all the bins and the table are going to actually be on these long posts and the vertical beams that are going to be attached to these posts. These are primarily here just to keep it square. When attaching two boards like this, you always want to pre-drill the end of the board just to make sure that it doesn't split. Splits do happen, even if you do pre-drill. Just take your time and see what the wood does. My plans call for 3-inch screws. I am using these exterior screws that I had left over from a previous project. You can use interior, exterior. It doesn't matter with this build. You can certainly take your time on this build. You can get the 2x4s and you can trim off the edges so that they're a square edge. Or you could just do as I'm doing and just put it together. I don't mind the look of the construction lumber and the round edges. But if you want a cleaner look, you can certainly rip the edges and clean them up. I'm measuring the boards here for the height of the bins. These 2x2 boards are going to be the supports for the bins. So you want to make sure that they're at the right height to hold the bins and that they are the same height on each board so that they are level. Now that the main frame is done, I'm going to go ahead and make the fence pieces in the middle all together and then put them in once I'm all done. turning the table on its side makes it easier to attach these pieces. Putting in these fence pieces, I want to make sure that they're equal distance from each other. That way the tote has something to sit on when it's done. And when putting in the wheels, make sure that you're doing it on the bottom. When I made one of my workbenches, I accidentally put the wheels on the top, not thinking about it. I had to take them all out and put them on the bottom. It's fine if you do it, because the plywood top is gonna cover it, but it just saves a lot of time and energy. I'm putting a fifth wheel in the middle, just so if we overfill these totes and it starts to get too heavy, it doesn't bend in the middle and has a little bit more support. These wheels are rated for 175 pounds each, so this is going to be a little bit overkill for this bench, but I love overkill. You can never be too safe. So in my plans, I have two 4x8 plywood sheets that cover the top. I am doing it this way because I have the spare wood and I'm going to use it. It's not going to look as good as two solid pieces, but I want to use every piece of wood that I have, and I don't want anything to go to waste. To cut it, you can use a jigsaw, a circular saw, your table saw. You can use a router with a flush bit. I started on the opposite end because it was right up against the board. And if you do it this way, you will get kicked back, as you can see. You want to go with the flow of the blade. It just makes it a lot easier to cut. And I was trying to make a shortcut and ended up not cutting the board flush. So I ended up just going to what I was supposed to do in the first place and cutting from the other end. So as you can see, cutting from the other end is a lot easier than cutting against the blade. And then once it's done, I just put in my extra pieces that I have. I had 3 pieces. I had to put 3 pieces in, but I don't care how it looks in my shop. As long as it's functional, I don't really mind. But if you care more for looks, I would suggest not using OBS then, and using a nice plywood for the top. but for what we're going to be using it, OBS is going to be great for this. It also keeps the cost down. So there you have it. It's an easy build. It costs just under $300, and it's going to be perfect for what we need it to be used for. We're going to be able to clean up that corner. We're able to get good storage, and not only have good storage, but we also have a nice workbench that we can use to work on our garden, work on chickens, work on anything that we need to over there. I do have my workbenches that I use for building and for my woodworking projects, but this one is actually a little bit higher. And I actually, because I'm a taller person, I like the height of this. My workbenches, I built them to be the same height as my table saw. So they're a little bit lower, which is perfect because the intent of these workbenches were to be able to use it with my table saw. But until I get a decent dust collection or dust collector for my woodworking stuff, I'm going to just keep using my table saw outside, or how you saw it in this video, just open up the bay door and let the sawdust out till I get a nice dust collection going. Then I'll be able to use my workbenches the way I built them. But this right here, it's an easy build. Only takes a few hours to do. Only takes a few tools. And like I said, it's under $300, and that includes the totes themselves, which you can buy at Costco, at Amazon, Lowe's and Home Depot have them as well. Ace Hardware. I'll put some links in the description below where you can actually get these totes. I'll also put in the description plans for this build here. This is modular, so if you don't need the full 5 bays of totes, you can actually modify the plan so that they only 4 bays or 3, even down to 2 bays, and still have a workbench that you can work off of at the top. It's mobile. It can be used anywhere. It's great for a shop. It's great for a garage or even a basement. But I really appreciate you taking your time and watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I love your comments. If you have any questions about the build or about our homestead, leave a comment below. Also, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button, and thanks again for watching.